Hello everybody, and welcome to my Baro Set 5 First Impressions. This is, as always, coming off of Zach's new planet profile. However, this time Zach decided to put both Baro and Polysium into one single planet profile, which is pretty cool. Of course, I will be splitting these up into two separate videos for longevity's sake, and by now you should know the drill of how I grade these, but always remember that points don't matter as much as my worth. Once again, I will leave the links of the Discord and Zach's YouTube channel in the description for you to go and see. Let's get started. First up, we have Pointasaurus, and this is coming off of people wanting Zach to make dinosaur cards. So for a dinosaur card, I'd say the art looks pretty nice. It's supposed to be a point, and I love how every single point has that like colored point thing that we all know and love, and even the teeth, and I think that's really cool. And the curl in the tail looks pretty nice. And then overall, the general color, like there's some nice like rustic feeling of the dinosaur's body color. Overall, really nice dinosaur. Stats for a 5-star, nothing too special. Can't really hit for anything other than 2. And then ability, when this creature is cosplayed, gain 1 point for each of your zone creatures. And, you know, this isn't half bad. You can throw it down, and if you have like 2 other cards, you know, that can get you 2 points just like that. And that's alright, but also, you're probably not going to have 2 other cards. Most likely you're going to have only 1, which means that you're going to get 1 point for 5 stars, which really isn't the most ideal thing ever. So I wouldn't see this being played just because it's a really slow way and the weak stats, but it's a dinosaur card, and I like that. Next is Lemul. First of all, art, Mexican inspiration, pretty cool. I always love to see that. It's got some nice texturing with the black marks all over its body, and it's got red, and I don't know, it just looks cool. It looks really colorful, very vibrant, but also, you know, kind of looks like a statue. So yeah, I like it. I really like it. Stats, of course, for a 3-star, nothing too special. It can take a hit from a lot of weak creatures, and then you can switch it out for 2 points if you want, but other than that, it's pretty mediocre. Its ability, unfortunately, is also mediocre. Once per turn, after you cosplay another Baro creature, add 1 creature zone to your planet. And it kind of feels like there's been a couple of these creature cards that have been made specifically for zone gaining. And once again, this one falls into the trap of once you get later into the game, it becomes pretty much useless. I guess if you want to get, you know, a lot of zones, and this could help with Pointasaurus or something, you know, that might be good. But also, you have to have this guy on here, and then you have to cosplay another Baro creature, which makes it pretty slow, because not only do you have to get this guy out, but you have to get another guy out. And this thing is weak enough that it could easily be slapped in 1 turn. So overall, it probably won't be played, but I like the art. Next up is Moooole. Art, honestly, it's kind of gross, kind of too realistic for my liking, and the different colors kind of make it just feel weird and wacky, but it's kind of neat. I like kind of the wormy feeling those pink parts have, and the blue kind of makes it stand out from other Baro creatures, but other than that, it kind of looks ugly. Sorry, Zach. Stats for 2-star, once again, nothing too special. This is pretty weak. However, it kind of plays into its ability. When your opponent moves 2 or more creatures into a battle zone, you can free play this handed creature. And this is quite alright. It's like a lot of other cards like Orbov that can be free played after some sort of thing happens. It's kind of like a mini black hole, except, you know, it doesn't kill. The only issue is that it says move 2 or more creatures, which means that this is only good as like a last resort option. And a lot of times there really isn't that last resort option. So once again, this probably won't be played, and that's unfortunate, but I'd say it's still a neat card, and it kind of just follows that trend of weak cards being able to be recycled. Next, this is starting to get into the more helpful cards. Nutuntun, another Mexican-inspired statue. This one has less colors, but they all kind of fit together well. Green, red, and black. I think that all kind of makes this thing look really fun, and then the eyes kind of make it look goofy. And the angle of it being a bit like of an angle top actually makes this one look pretty neat. So overall, I like this art. Stats. Now, of course, this is a vanilla, which means that I have to give it a 0 out of 5 because it can't do anything. But its stats are revolutionary. Power 40, health 250. This is the first time that a 3-star could ever swing for 3. And that's fantastic. This could make this a pretty cool card to use because basically it's just a slightly cheaper de. Of course, it doesn't have as much health in terms of being a good wall, but it can still swing for 3, which is absolutely fantastic. So this is a pretty cool card. Although, again, I don't know if it would see too much play other than to be maybe a substitute for de. But de is more versatile with its wall status. So I'd say it's a hard maybe on that one. The final new card, there was 2 other cards shown that are going to be reprints of the Baro Planetary Collection. The final new one, though, is Avalanche Overlord. Art, this massive boulder looks really cool, and I think the green really makes it stand out. If the green and the white weren't there, I think this would look boring, but that along with some nice texture and crookedness of this rocky creature, it makes this guy look demanding and powerful, so I like it quite a lot. Stats for a 7-star, honestly a bit weaker than most 7-stars, but it's still pretty good. 300, 360, it can swing for 4 if you use Baro's ability, and so it's pretty good. And even with 300, you can still swing for 3. Overall, pretty good stat line. The ability, though, is where it's at. When this creature is played, kill all zone creatures with 400 or more power. And this is actually to directly combat Polysium, because Polysium by far has like the most creatures with 400 power or more. Of course, it can't kill everything, which like something like Zeteri Mandalasis, this would be a hard no. And that kind of draws it back, as well as the fact that other than Polysium, it isn't as well used. It can handle a bunch of different Chaos Beasts, but yeah, this is a pretty good card. I'd just say that the thing that holds it back is the fact that it can't get everything, and it can't get enough of everything to the point where like there's enough cards that can deal with this card. But I think it would be a good card to put into a Baro deck to deal with a lot of different creatures. Next, let's go over these next 2 cards quickly. So Kalamask, I love the art. I don't know what it is. It just looks so cool, and I don't know what to say. I like it. I like it a lot. Stats, nothing too special for a 5-star. It can swing for 3. Ability is very versatile. You can have this card permanently lose 100 power to kill one zoned resource or attachment card. And this is the kind of thing that's like the crux of all attachment cards. So overall, this is a great utility card. Then there is Inox of Baro, and this is a perfect score just because it's a Chaos Beast, and this thing is actually a very, very good Chaos Beast. Art, fantastic, Sphinx-like posure, and it looks very commanding, and I love the colors. It's just amazing overall. Stats, 500 health means it literally can block just about anything. You can use Cranchon, but you would have to do a tie with that. Even with a power of 330, this directly goes into its ability. This card cannot be free played. Baro is your planet card. You can switch the power and health of this card at the end of each of your turns, which basically means that you'll have a 500-500 stat line. When this zone creature is killed, free play up to 2 Baro creatures whose stars total 7. This is fantastic just because you usually will have to remove it with some other means other than a creature. And then it can bring back so many different things. So this is a fantastic card. Next, I'm just going to say the resources that were shown off for Baro were killer. Let's start off with Bazaar of Old Baarock. Art, fantastic. It kind of just shows this life that's on Baro, and there's different creatures roaming around, and I just love it. It's just a cool setting, and I wish there was more of these setting type of things. And as you can see, there's like a Point and Stars shop. There's people buying stuff. It's fantastic. And then the ability, shuffle 3 killed 4-star or lower Baro creatures into your galaxy, then draw 1 card. This is amazing. We need to see this for literally every single planet, something like this, because you get to shuffle 3 killed. There's so many different 4-star or lower creatures that are so helpful, like Nutuntun could be another one. There's just so many different options for this, and then you get to draw 1 card, which is just so helpful because it gives you another card to work with. The only thing I'd say that draws this back is that you kind of have to wait until there's a lot of creatures that have been killed. Oh yeah, and it can also search out a lot of the burrow bugs, so that's great. If you get this towards the beginning of the game, it's kind of just a brick in your hand. But overall, this is a fantastic card. Next is the Daily Chaos, and I have to give it a perfect art again because it says ban list is awful, which I think is funny, even though honestly the ban list is pretty good this time. Set 5 is out today. It'll be out today eventually, of course. And then if you can see, there's a hand, and I'm pretty sure that's referencing the broken hand card. So I just think it's so cool. It's just a funny little thing, and it provides a lot of world building. The ability is also pretty good. For a permanent resource, once per turn, the turn player can choose to use one of the following abilities. Gain 1 point, gain 2 stars, and pay 4 stars to draw 1 card. And this can be actually pretty cool if people actually use permanent resource cards. Now, this might not just be used because barely anybody uses permanent resources, but this might cause people to use them because not only did Zach say it speeds up the game, which is, in my opinion, the greatest thing ever because speeding up the game is just always helpful, but this can also, I don't know, this could be an interesting thing. Of course, if you don't get it until the end of the game, then it becomes pretty much useless. And that's the issue that comes from this card. But I would love to see it played because it would be such a cool card that would just sit there and both players could, have some extra things to do. Finally, we have Permanent Point Protection Pro. Patented. This is just a funny card. The art has Saberfloof, a card that everybody really wanted to be reprinted, but it was unfortunately not reprinted. But I love the points coming in. It looks, all the angles are so well done. The bubble looks so clean, and Saberfloof's just there chilling. The ability, honestly, the weakest one out of these 3. Neither player can gain or lose points through card abilities. And I'm not saying that this is a bad card because there are a lot of cards that have point gaining card abilities, but it is a permanent resource and it kind of just sits there, and if the decks don't really have any point gaining ability cards, it kind of is useless. So that is the Baro Set 5 first impressions. Overall, Baro got a ton of good support, specifically with Avalanche Overlord and Bazaar of Old Baarock. I think those were the 2 that really stood out. Even Nutuntun, who is kind of just an innovative card, being the first 3-point swing. Overall, this was good, and the next video will be Polysium. I will see you then. Remember, happiness is a warm